school friend, huh? Me neither.
Yeah, still have.
Okay. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the City Council study session. I would like to call this meeting to order. Our one and only agenda item of this meeting is a signature event finalization. Our communications manager, Allison Carney, is back to present an update on the creation of the new signature event. And just for the record, Mayor Pro Tem is out this evening. He sends his regrets, and Councilmember Olson is on her way.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thanks for having me back. I would like to point out, even though we have an hour for this topic tonight, we don't have to use the whole thing.
We're hoping for a little break here.
I just wanted to put that out there. So, I know I just spoke with you all last Monday night, and we had two really productive meetings today. One with all city department staff that would be required to hold an event like this, and then a second meeting with the Broadway business owners that are in the event planning committee with me. So what we came up with out of that first meeting with staff is that it would be much easier on everyone, including the public, if Broadway is closed on a Saturday and not on a Friday during rush hour. So cost on that and police overtime and just the congestion from rush hour on Broadway, everybody agrees, including the business owners, that it makes more sense to have an event on a Saturday when you don't have to deal with the rush hour traffic and people trying to get home from work. So with that said, looking at Saturdays, since it's not going to be during a final Friday, the committee came up with Saturday, October 14th. That's the second Saturday in October. There is a big brew fest or something in Denver that people come from all over the world on the first Saturday, October 7th. So it makes more sense to have it the following Saturday. That is the first proposal. So we're looking for direction tonight on that date, Saturday, October 14th. The time that the planning committee would like to propose is 3 to 9 p.m. They did want it to go into the night. We had talked about noon to 4, and they said that's kind of a dead window. Maybe people will stick around for dinner after, maybe not. They were more excited about having something that went into the evening. So 3 to 9, that way we could close Broadway noon to start, bringing in the show wagon, setting up sound for the bands, that type of thing. And then, so we could close Broadway noon to 11 p.m. and have the event 3 to 9 and still have that window for setup and takedown and cleanup. We've also thrown around a bunch of names, and the committee today talked about, I think, just keeping it simple with Inglewood Block Party. That way it's clear what the event is and people know what they're going to. And we're definitely going to be putting an ad in the August magazine for the event, so we need to have it designed by tomorrow. So, so these meetings are very timely. We're hoping to know the date and the event name by tomorrow. So those are the two big things, I think, the date and time, and then we also have the Historic Preservation Society has agreed to be the nonprofit that pulls the special event permit for the beer garden. So we're really excited to have them on board. Yeah, so
we're going to have historic beer. You're running the brothels too. Yeah. I don't even want to know how that
fits into a
nonprofit. Okay. The lease is here.
So now that we have a nonprofit on board, and they can do that October date, so we'll just work with a wholesale distributor to provide the beer for the event. And I think those are our main issues. If you have any questions
or comments from council? I've got a few. I love these ideas. Thank you for working to turn this around. I think we found that by the time we got to the mayor-manager meeting, there were still a few issues that we needed to kind of nail down, so we decided to kind of bring this back. I like the idea of Saturday over Friday if you found that was kind of cost prohibitive. I do worry about going into October that deep. Did you guys consider September 30th?
Yeah, that was the first date we looked at. It is Denver's Oktoberfest that same.
Okay.
So
What's the average temperature around October 14th?
I don't
wonder?
know.
Usually, I think traditionally, you're good through Halloween, but
That's what the committee thought too. That they usually go by Halloween. So
sorry, let me take a look. I had a couple other comments here.
Always unpredictable.
I know that's what everybody said too. Is that you just never know.
Yeah, I like the window of 3 to 9. I think
You
that
like
makes
that
a ton
time?
of sense. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like you said, I think towards the later we can make it, I think the better, and then it can just retire into the opening business or the businesses
Business
that are
having their
still
own
open.
things.
Yeah,
I know they
exactly.
talked about maybe getting some of their own live music after 9 o'clock and that type of things to carry it on.
Yeah, as the crowd kind of
Mm-hmm.
downsizes, they can consolidate into the private businesses themselves. Love the naming Wood Block Party. Thank you for your work there. Appreciate Inglewood Historic Preservation Society sort of stepping up and helping us put on this event. Not knowing that where we were on that, I did just attend a meeting over at Big Brothers Big Sisters, and they expressed some interest as well in partnering with us. Maybe that's something we could explore, in partnership with Inglewood Historic, or I do think that they'd have a great audience for us to try to attract. Perhaps not necessarily for this event, but for other events in the future. I think we've got a great willing partner to kind of plug us in with potential sponsorships and nonprofit type of folks who might partner with us to make some of our events a little more successful. And then remind me that I need to change my mayor article to reflect whatever we decide here tomorrow.
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
Other comments or questions? Councilmember Martinez.
I like all the ideas. I'm totally supportive of that date and the time and the name. So, in my opinion, you have my vote.
Thank you.
Further comments? Sounds like we've got some pretty swift consensus on this agenda item. I'm not seeing any allergic reactions in anybody's faces, so I think we've got consensus to move forward with
Okay.
this as proposed.
So it's official.
I think so. October
Thanks for your
14th,
work on
big
it.
gig.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Um,
You're released.
Yeah. I guess I'd like to take this opportunity perhaps to do some member choice if, we could save some time in the other room at the end of the night. Go ahead, Councilmember Martinez.
Sure. I first want to say thanks to Councilmember Yates for covering for me at the library board. The KEB meeting went till 7:30, so I was going to be really late to that. Also, with the KEB meeting, we talked about the recap of the cleanup event and talked about, since it was so successful, doing it maybe quarterly. And we talked about doing it in a different district, council district each time. So if you guys have particular areas in your district that you think would benefit from a cleanup event like that, let me know and we'll work that in. And also, I tried out our new app, and I submitted reported a concern that I saw on, I think, Thursday or Friday, and it's already resolved today, so that was really exciting.
Awesome.
That's all for me.
Thank you so much.
Allison? No. Kudos to the app.
I submitted a concern on Thursday or Friday, and it's already figured out. Yeah. Yeah. It was easy to use.
Fantastic. Thank you for that great feedback. Councilmember Olson, any member's choice at this time?
I was going to say great on the app because I've used it, but I haven't put something like that in. I really like it. I'm sure something will come to me later, but
Yeah, fair enough. Feel free to interject here as we go around robin here. Councilmember Russell?
I have several things that I have on my list to share during council members' choice. I'll just share a couple. I did go to the grand opening for General Iron Works and had a great time there. I'm very encouraged about this, especially this portion of it, because it's for sale properties. Let's see. I did several things. Had a town hall meeting. I'd like to just share a little bit more about that under council members' choice. Sheriff Walter came to speak, and it was actually a very good meeting. So I'll talk about that a little bit later. Other than that, I don't think I have anything.
Thank you. Councilmember Barrington?
I'll do mine under council member choice in there.
Fair enough. Councilmember Yates?
good. I just went to meetings this week. Nothing special to report.
Fair enough. Thank you. I guess I got a couple things to share.
I didn't say anything important. I didn't say anything.
As far as park cleanups, I feel like Cushing Park is always kind of one I'm always wanting to make sure we get some TLC over to. That's just me, maybe. I attended the Budget Advisory Committee last week. They are rescheduling their meeting dates. I believe they chose the fourth Tuesday of the month at 5:15 now, so feel free to join us there. I, too, attended the Ironworks Village grand opening. I, too, am really excited about that project, mainly, as Councilmember Russell pointed out, because of the diversity of for ownership housing that will be available there, including, single-family homes, condominiums, townhomes, really a broad spectrum of product there. And, of course, that represents the largest sort of redevelopment site in the city of Inglewood, and this is kind of the second phase of it. Of course, Foundry Apartments being first and very, successful in that it is, got a high occupancy already. And this second stage sort of sets up for the remainder of the site to be redeveloped over to Dartmouth Avenue. So, again, really happy to see them successful. So many of our neighborhoods are sort of grown organically and kind of built out one-offs, and so it'll be interesting to see a totally different product and a little bit more of a planned neighborhood with private streets. So looking forward to seeing when they get their show homes and things up. Let me see if I had anything else for next week. Don't forget, we got the Guild grand opening tomorrow. If you're able to attend at all, it is at 5 p.m., just right outside here of the City Center. They have been open for some time, but they are doing a grand opening. Also be speaking at the South Metro Realtor Group about Broadway and Mineral on Wednesday at 11. Lots of sort of regional leadership and mayors attending and speaking. That's all I had. Please, go ahead. Excuse me?
The Guild is at 4.
Is it at 4?
At least that's what the two different...
Is what you got? Great. I didn't know that. Okay. Thank you so much. I'll make that correction in my calendar now because I've got a conflict, so I'll be able to be there at 4. Great. Thank you for that. Anybody else with anything?
I have one other thing I
Go
forgot.
ahead. Yeah, please.
I'll use the microphone. I saw an email about the Board and Commission Appreciation Event, which I think is like August 2nd or 3rd. And KEB and the Library Board have meetings that night. Oh, yeah, the 8th. There's KEB and the library have meetings that night, so I'm not sure if that's...
Did you respond to the email saying
I
as
did.
much? Okay, great.
Yeah.
I know we only had kind of one option. I think we need a few more options for perhaps a Dodal survey for council.
And I only mentioned that because KEB in our last meeting talked about all kinds of other things for their next meeting to discuss because we have some household hazardous waste cleanup and tire and leaf drop-off events coming up that we need to kind of iron out the details for. So,
I think that date was based, if I remember correctly, Manager Keck, let me know, but I think we were saying it was staffing over at the rec center that we had some concern about.
At staffing at the
I'm
pool.
sorry, at the pool. Thank you.
We've had a very successful year for extended parties, extended hours. And so we are very limited because special events almost every night, which is fantastic for revenue, but it does limit us then when we can utilize the facility. So I can go back to Krista Gravy and find out if, in fact, there is another alternative night that might work.
okay, if not, maybe I'll just, we can let KEB know that maybe we can reschedule that meeting, that particular one. So let me know which
The other alternative is to switch venues over to the recreation center. We have used both venues, but we, Mayor Pro Tem and I, and in our mayor-manager meeting, we're talking about, hey, we think the Pirates Cove worked really well last year, so we're going to try to stick there. So maybe look for some additional dates there, and if you're not able to find any that work great, then give us some dates for the rec center, and we can consider a switch in venue. Did you have something?
She just said that she would be willing to change the date for KB. It would be easier than trying to change.
Yeah, so let's make sure that they're able to find a date that makes sense. That's all I'm saying.
That makes my thing.
In the past, that was always on a council night. So there was a shift here, and I don't think we all knew about that. It would be helpful to know when we're going to do a major event that isn't on a council when it has been in the past. I don't know who decided that, under what circumstances. Was
I
it
think
the
this
Monday
is an
night
administrative
only?
call,
Or?
candidly.
I think it was driven by the availability of Pirates Cove.
That was it only. It wasn't
Yeah.
like the first.
We could look for a Monday night But I think that Chris's analysis was driven by the availability.
It would be better because of all the boards and commissions that meet Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So you mean, yeah, it always will mean some group doesn't.
Yeah, unless you probably get into the last week of the month, I think you'll find that to be the case.
Let me throw this out here.
Please.
How about over at the Broken Tee at the River Run?
Yeah. I think that could
You
be
know,
a
I
reasonable
mean, we
venue.
just got that up and running. It'd be a great thing.
I think part of it was that you're giving away free things at the rec center, or at the Pirates Cove, so that's probably part of it. So we'd have to come up with what is it that we're
People
giving
can
them as
surf.
a thank you.
Yeah,
Pardon?
surf or
People can
maybe
go
a range
surfing.
ball,
I
maybe a
just
bucket of
think
range
give
ball.
them all a mug.
Yeah.
We probably don't have enough for that, do we? A mug or a hat.
You know, in the past, we have given away, Pirates Cove tickets as well as Inglewood Cultural Arts events, and we looked at the, I believe we saw some, they weren't greatly used, and so this year I think we were talking about giving them an option between one of those two tickets. The nice thing about that is it doesn't really cost us anything. If we go into a level of, providing swag, it's going to come out of our budget a little bit, but maybe that's something the council, if you'd like to comment on that, we can consider. Councilmember Barrington?
If we're going to have it on a council night, then that's fine if we change venue. If we're not going to change venue, then I think they appreciate that it's a family event over at Pirates Cove. And if we change it to any other night other than council night, then we're just affecting some other board, and we can't work around every board. If we make it a council night, then I think that would make sense.
Thank you. Councilmember Russell?
I actually agree with Councilmember Olson. I was kind of shocked that it was on a different night than a council night. I guess I like Councilmember Yates' suggestion that perhaps we do it at the golf course. Maybe there's some people on boards and commissions that might like to play around a golf or something. Would that necessarily cost our budget?
I don't think so. I mean, again, we're operating the golf course. I don't know if they need rentals
Or driving range.
exactly, but I think we could work something in. Maybe we could evaluate, the availability of that facility as well, and include that as one of the options in an email to get feedback from council. Is everybody okay with that? Councilmember Yates, did you have something else?
I was just going to say the driving range sounds like a good thing. That's something that
Yeah, I could hit a few balls.
anybody and everybody can pretty much do. It's assuming we're not going to cut into revenues.
Sure.
We want to get everyone out of there if we go involved.
Any other comments on member choice or on board and commission appreciation night?
I do have a question because I noticed that this is not on the agenda. Is there an opening on Code Enforcement Advisory Committee so that the alternate could be moved up to a full-time member? When I talked to Krista, and I didn't even think about this, she said, well, he cannot be promoted with them tonight because council has to vote on it. But he could be voted on tonight in the meeting.
Thoughts on that? We prefer to add him to the agenda at the next meeting. Can you confirm that that is in fact the case, that we've got an alternate that needs to get moved up, or you need to get back with us on that?
I personally have not had the conversation with Krista on this. The only thing that I saw was the council request on whether or not Mr. Cohn had an additional term, but I did not know that we had a vacancy. If that's the case, then we probably should notice that and post that as
Bring
we
it forward to our
typically do,
next meeting, and
which would be August 7th.
and communicate perhaps to the body that we'll be taking care of that issue hopefully at the next meeting. Please.
So if we're going to take care of that at the next meeting, then I would like to make sure that Code Enforcement Advisory Committee does not have a meeting until after that appointment takes place.
Okay. Councilmember Barrington?
I thought we moved up all of the alternates wholesale.
I thought so too, but it sounds like Councilmember Russell is identifying a potential issue.
No, it's my understanding we moved up all of the alternates wholesale. That means he was already moved up and voted on. So it might have just been a miss of the list for it not to have been identified that alternate got moved up.
Right,
It might
I mean-
just been missed on the list.
Perhaps.
Right,
And it
and
sounds
I
like
de-
Mr. Keck's going to confirm or deny that for us, and if in fact there is a person who got missed on that will come forward at our next meeting.
Okay.
Well, I don't understand why that would be necessary since we're doing the council, the stuff tonight, that we just agree that all of the alternates are being moved up tonight.
Because we didn't notice post this person, I think is what the concern might be.
I don't think we've noticed posted all of the alternates previously.
We've always noticed posted all of our appointments in my memory.
No. Well, I don't know about all of the people that got moved up all the time, whether those did or not. I'm not sure.
Yeah, they always
But
do.
in any case, it could be done tonight through a motion to just go ahead and make sure.
Any thoughts
that-
on that, City Attorney?
Procedurally, I think you can go ahead and incorporate that individual. And the reason is because you are moving everybody up. This person has previously been appointed as an alternate. It's not like you're sneaking a name in that people have not already known that you've reviewed and approved. So this is basically what's called a clerk's error. Somebody just got left off the list. So I think that you could do this, but you're not mandated to.
Sure.
It's one of those gray areas where the council gets to decide the procedure.
My concern is for this board is that when we just have something that's a clerical mistake, to go ahead and make a big deal out of it and then go ahead and restrict a board from being able to do their normal process, or you end up eliminating a voting member from what could end up being the choice of the chair, and because this is the time of year everybody starts making those decisions. I mean,
Do you know if the code enforcement language allows the alternate to be a voting member when they don't have everyone present?
No.
It does not. Okay. So that's kind of the issue you guys are probably getting at.
They have 5 members right now with the one alternate. And I see.
You do see that issue?
And since there was already some
Okay.
kind of mess up with the code board, if we could just make this a little bit easier process.
Sounds like we've got a couple of members suggesting they'd like to bring forward this issue at our meeting here tonight. Any other members have any objection to that, or perhaps would like to voice some support for that? Councilmember Olson.
Why were we going to go back and have you check on something? Because it didn't make sense to me.
I just checked. I think the one thing I want to check with this since this person's already the alternate, I don't fundamentally have a problem either with somebody moving them to a full-time member. They only have 5 regular members and 1 alternate right now, and they're short two members. So then you're
Right,
short
but
more.
there was something you wanted to go back and check, but I didn't understand what you were saying.
Oh, no. The only thing I wanted to check is just check in with Krista, because I haven't spoken to her about that.
Oh, okay.
Only thing I worked with her on was trying to understand whether or not Mr. Cohn had another term or not.
Right, and that got resolved.
That's been resolved.
I don't see any problem with us doing it tonight.
So
I
what?
thought you wanted to check whether he had been moved up or not.
Yeah, no,
not
clearly,
sure.
I just looked.
As long as the website is
But
accurate,
it might
yes.
have just been the error of
Yeah.
just not doing the action of it.
Right.
And then people went back on code and said he wasn't moved up, but I don't know that happened officially. It could have just been a mistake of not doing it on the website. So
That's what I wanted to kind of
Yeah.
double check. Is
If
it
we could
just
ju-
inaccurate on the website?
Right, but
we could
I-
look
I
at the
don't wanna
agenda, I
torture
guess.
them anymore.
It doesn't hurt, I think, for council to make a motion.
Okay.
If he's already a regular member, so be it. If he's not, then you've cured the issue.
that
Yeah.
way they can have a meeting, because apparently, watching next door and not our website, the chair called for a meeting on the 26th, which the city wasn't notified about. So if we could go ahead and make sure all the members are in place so that we could have a little bit less confusion about how things are getting handled, I think it would straighten things out a little quicker.
Fair enough. So I guess I'll look for that motion here under the appropriate point of our meeting
One more
here.
question.
Yes, go ahead.
Was there a change to the agenda?
Yes.
So we'll be getting another agenda or a copy of one?
Yeah, there's one item that was in our zeal, I think, to complete the agenda last week. It's actually an item. It's the should be on for the 7th instead of tonight, and that's...
Oh, no, I read it. I just wanted
Oh,
to make sure that
sure.
I got a corrected piece of it, and I already pulled that.
Yes.
I don't have a problem with that. I just wanted to make sure I had we were
Full packet,
providing a correct agenda for tonight, and
Yes.
got the information. Okay.
It was corrected on the website, wasn't it? So I
Correct.
have the correct
On
one. Then I just
Friday, yeah.
downloaded
That's what I
it.
just said. I read it on the website, which is how I knew it got taken off, which is how I knew there was a difference. Yeah. No, I appreciate it. Just looking for that's the one we're working off of. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Without any further business, not seeing anybody moving for anything, we'll take end this meeting and take a little bit of a recess here before our 7 o'clock. Thank you, everybody.